say, would you rather be the Texas or the Oklahoma AD? I think 10 out of 10 would say you'd rather go to Austin and rather live in that city and rather have the challenge, the burden of attracting talent there. Seems like it'd be a lot easier to do it than what Castiglione's done in Norman. And Chris Del Conte is a really good AD as well. So, I mean, you think about the addition of Texas and Oklahoma today into the Southeastern Conference, not only are you getting two heavyweight athletic programs, the leaders that are coming with those two programs in Del Conte and Castiglione are both reputable money spenders of top talent who goes after championships. I mean, they're coming into the SEC and feel as if they fit right in and maybe would kind of sit atop of the league when it comes to decision-making and respectability. But Trev Alberts at Texas A&M, I mean, if you were watching, I caught a little bit of the SEC network. I just kind of had it on in the house as we were doing some Sunday chores around the house, but it was on in the background and was paying attention to, a full set of SEC network. Laura Rutledge was the host of it. Peter Burns was there. Paul Feinbaum was there, amongst other characters and personalities from the SEC network. Were in Austin, and they brought Jim Schlossnagle and Chris Del Conte out, and some of the conversation was about Texas A&M. And, Schlossnagle was sitting there in a Texas polo in the middle of Austin, in the middle of Texas's campus, with nothing but Texas fans behind him. The whole set of the SEC network, the host and the co-host, are like dressed in Texas gear. It was a full day about, it was hook 'em all day.
Yeah.
And they're sitting there talking about A&M, and Schlossnagle is being fairly, he's being pretty insightful. He's being honest. I think that he's obviously had his hand slapped of, look, man, you got to watch your mouth when you're talking. Like, you can't go out there just kind of like firing off at people. His tone is very more sensitive than it was at the World Series in Omaha. But, I mean, he's like, look, when Trevor Alberts took the job, it was just a different deal. There were some things that we believed that was going to happen that was not happening. He cleared house. He totally cleared out the athletic program. I mean, he was saying, we got to be preparing for the future. And he kind of came in and, killed all the sacred cows. And I'm not somebody who's against looking at somebody who's been in the job for a long time and saying, you need to turn it over. But, I mean, one swipe like he did coming in there puts a lot of pressure on him. And then, I can't imagine if the Schlossnagle deal has been done since April, which very reputable reporters within college baseball are saying that that's happened. I mean, Alberts pretty much did nothing to prevent it. And not only that, if he's known since April that Schlossnagle was leaving, what has happened in this past week before, he was finally able to lure a former coach who was on last year's staff back to Texas A&M, Michael Early, back to College Station, who had taken the job with Schlossnagle, was in Texas, had taken the team photo,
on the website.
I mean, he had taken a headshot.
And that goes to show how far Texas A&M went with the links that they tried to go and swung and missed, because Early obviously wasn't their first pick, or else this thing would have been announced with Schlossnagle going, and then you slot in Early, and then you avoid all of this. If you're Texas A&M, where you're not even really, you don't let the fanfare get up in arms about Schlossnagle and him leaving at the stroke of midnight when nobody's looking, and then it's oh, well, you let Texas A&M with their pants down. It's no, it's an AD. Boom, insert Michael Early. Look, we have a hire. Instead, it was, all right, let's go see. I think Texas A&M is a premier job. That's what the AD is thinking, I would imagine. He goes out and tries to get Tony Vitello coming off a national championship and you think that you have an actual shot. And then you realize that, buddy, why do y'all keep thinking Texas A&M is something it isn't? If you're not able to get a coach from Virginia and a coach from, I understand why Vitello didn't leave, but to think that you could, and then you're going to put that out there and have the player be like, all right, we have all the money in the world. Okay, they don't care. Like At some point, they don't want to be a part of whatever y'all have going on there because it's a hard place to win. Vitello has already built a monster at Tennessee. Why would he walk away? And to be so ignorant to that fact and think that the gusto of Texas A&M would lure him over is mind-blowing to me. Like,
well, really? I mean,
you're like, I know why they do it. I know, but it's still, I just don't know how many times they have to get kicked in the shin before they realize, like,
it's going to happen forever because they've got an endless pit of money. They've
right.
got an endless,
like, even Jimbo didn't want to be there.
Well, I mean, it just,
that was the money.
Yeah, I mean, the way that they got him out of there. You know, I mean, one stroke of the check.
But right, that's how you get him out of there. But at the same time, if that's all you have to offer, I think people are starting to see like other coaches are starting to see, like, maybe it takes more than that. It's hard to win at a place like A&M that, for all their bravado, all they have is money. Mm-hmm. They don't have a culture. I mean, they have a culture, but they don't have, like, tradition of winning. They just have Texas A&M.
Buddy.
They got culture. They put the Colton culture. But like even Johnny Manziel is like, I'm an Aggie.
It's cool.
He's not all the way in.
12th man's fun.
Yeah.
Right.
But like you see like
I'll
people
show
like
up to
that.
the Sweet 16.
But I'll show up at a suite.
Yeah.
I'll show up to the World Series.
But like when it's the guys that are all of the like the baseball players that were tweeting about Texas A&M and like putting their captions were so bizarre. It's like if you're not fully indoctrinated into it,
you're an Aggie man.
Like they're going to be Aggies for life.
You ain't got no idea.
The fringe guys that are in the portal are like, I mean, I think it's fucking weird, dude.
Right.
You got coaches even like, oh, you don't understand about Texas A&M, dude. Like you just have to pretend unless you actually are like fully baptized and gig 'em. Like, because that's what it feels like. It's like you're either all the way in, or if you're halfway in, you're all the way out.
Yeah.
And like they can smell it on you.
You're
you got your thumb up behind your back, boy.
Yeah, right.
They do it in the line.
You got your ring on or what?
Yeah, you got to give it 12 turns to the left.
Give that thing a smack.
I mean,
you like to pass it back or not?
It looks that looks like the case.
Yeah.
I mean, like if that's not true. Okay,
that's the perception.
That's what it feels like.
You got it.
I mean,
if it's not true, you got it. But but outside looking in,
I mean, it just.
If I had to,
and I'm telling you, like, I don't mean to pour salt onto the wound, but if you're in College Station today, July 1st, 2024, Texas is officially a member of the SEC. It has happened. Could it have gone any worse?
No.
Like leading up to it for them? I mean, like, really?
New football coach, new baseball coach.
But that Texas takes the week of them being inaugurated to the league.
The day after you were in the College World Series with your head coach and you feel good about where your program is.
They are boasting about the last national championship was the 30s in any sport.
Brother.
In any sport
I have news for you,
that
brother.
means anything. The baseball team finally gets there. I mean, like, they are a game away from a national championship the day of the game. They can't even make it to the park yet. And Texas has leaked out, we're taking your coach.
I have news for you.
Like, we're not. I think Del Conte's quote was, I'm not coming back to Austin without Schlossnagle.
Oh,
yes.
geez.
I mean, like.
He put his
buddy,
Dum boots on.
And he got to the stadium yet.
I ain't going back
the
to
biggest
Texas.
game in A&M baseball, in A&M athletic
A&M,
history.
Yeah, like sport
history. And Texas just dog walks them. I mean, just like rolls up on their biggest day, lifts their leg, takes their coach, gets to the league, and now like it's like.
And now there's the culmination of it all of us here. Now we're in the SEC. Like
Yeah,
if you
right.
thought we weren't,
Like,
we're here.
and like, I
Big
mean,
Brother's here.
People around the league will say like when A&M took the bid, 12 years ago, they were like, Texas will never be here, right? Mm-hmm. And they were like,
no, we ain't gonna let
Texas is got the Big 12. They got the Longhorn Network.
They got their own network.
Yeah.
They're coming over here.
Bigger than the SEC.
We would never let them in. All right, cool.
Matt McConaughey
they're like,
in the cuts.
all right, we're in, man. We're in.
Finally, but get out the shadow of Texas.
12 years later.
Yeah, they had 12, and that's the other thing. You had 12 years before Texas could figure out a way out of the Big 12. And I think once they saw how the Longhorn Network was doing and what the Big 12 was turning into, it was like, boys, we got to make a play in the SEC. A&M's in it. They can't win a thing. Like, the door's wide open. You got to be like, we can take their spot for sure.
A&M in Missouri.
Yeah, Manziel running around over there. How'd we miss on him?
And you had 12 years with Texas not in your corner to be able to pump the SEC and compete in the SEC and use that as recruiting. The day before Texas gets in the SEC, they're like, this is how you do it.
Let me show you how it's done, boys.
You might as well go back to the Big 12, A&M.
I mean, like, they might be in the title game year one.
But with that said, like, all of the fanfare of Texas coming in with the SEC backing, I think the whole league should be on notice. Like, Oklahoma's whatever.
Yeah.
Like, but Texas,
don't think.
Yeah.
Don't think that every single participant in the SEC is not side-eyeing Texas, Georgia included. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, every single football program is looking over there like,
damn, it's got harder.
Look how they do it.
Yeah.
Like, they do Ferraris and Lamborghinis, huh?
We can't do that.
Like, I don't know if we can do that, boys.
Yeah.
I mean, like.
A&M camp, nobody wants to go there.
I mean, I agree. I think this has been boiling water. You know, I mean, this has kind of been simmering, and now you're talking about a full boil if you're the rest of the league. Because, and look, especially LSU.
Yeah.
I think that, like we said last week, LSU is in some recruiting wars and some recruiting battles, and some of the fiercest recruiting wars and battles that they've been in over the last couple of years, and, you know, really more than the last couple of years, from a decade plus, has come down to really kind of one game. You know, I mean, you think about that LSU-Alabama game over the last 10, 15 years, it's usually come down to that game on who goes and represents the West. It was who was getting the players. I mean, all of the players that were playing that game were being, their finalists were LSU and Alabama. They were either going to either school, right? And Bama just got, they kind of got
Sabanified.
They got the lines of scrimmage. I mean, LSU got just as much skill, probably more skill, than Bama got during that time period. But Bama got the lines of scrimmage. I think if you look at now, who's that rival for LSU, at least from a recruiting standpoint? Maybe not on the field because they're not a consistent, permanent opponent, but they'll run into them just playing the league schedule, is Texas. I mean, look, if you're asking me, who do you not want to compete with in recruiting, the first school I'd probably reel off would be Texas, just because
now
the amount of money.
Now.
Yeah, right, where they are now. I mean, the amount of money, they figured out the NIL, they got the people in place, they got the collective put in. I mean, you know, they're playing the game. And a lot of the people that LSU has gone and got has been in the same recruiting zone that Texas is focusing a lot of that money and power. And while LSU has done a commendable job of putting their NIL together, putting their collective, they're spending their money, right? I still think they're figuring it out. Texas comes in with that part done, right? And, you know, it's a huge year for Sarkisian.
Oh,
I would think
it's a huge year, but I think he's bought himself so much time with Arch. Like, he's bought himself another 2 years.
Maybe. I mean, it depends on if you get to Arch this year. You know, like, I believe in Quinn Ewers. I think Quinn Ewers is going to take year 3. And real quick, remember, Daily, we're brought to you by Wide Rate. I've been telling you about Wide Rate, which is located over in Arlington Creek, which is over there on Burbank and Lee. That new expansion over near Mike Anderson's on Lee Drive. Wide Rate is in there, and they have IV infusion. Great menu to choose from. They got high doses of vitamin C. I've been taking part of the NAD Plus, which is the anti-aging powerhouse that helps you with brain power and functionality. They have stem cell therapy available over there at Hydrate Therapy. Find them online at hydrate.com. They've got weight loss treatments over there, but a full IV infusion menu to choose from that includes B12, vitamin C, selenium, NAD+, Pepsid, Toradol. Find it online at hydrate.com. Mentioned that you heard it here on the show. The NAD Plus stuff is great, man. I finished up my treatment last week, and the cognitive ability, the things that they tell you about. Look, I tell you all the time, I'm kind of skeptical by nature, and the treatments of NAD Plus, I definitely feel the effects of. Go find out for yourself online at hydrate.com, or go check them out. In the
I want that. He seems
Arlington
smarter.
Creek.
Need that.
I need that. He seems. I mean, the man's
Just
coming in here working.
More on point.
It just seems like it's always clicking every day. There used to be days where you'd be like, oh, I can't read. I don't think I can see. Now he's been here rattling off 45 minutes of shows after he doesn't want to do one tomorrow.
That's right. Rest of the week.
Yeah. So I'm a believer.
But back to the Quinn Ewers thing, because I believe in Quinn Ewers. Let the record state, I'm a Quinn. If you were asking me to say who's going to finish the year, like I think Feinbaum made like big news yesterday where he said he believes that Arch Manning's going to be the starter at the end of the year. If he is, if Arch Manning, if Paul Feinbaum's, if his prediction comes to life, I think it would be because Quinn Ewers got injured. And Ewers has been injured the first 2 years. Right? So he's shown that he's got a little bit of, he's a little injury prone.
Got to stay healthy.
Got a little injury prone. And I will say that if he does go down to injury and they give Arch the role, it might be tough to get it back. Because I think that the Arch mania is going to be on 10, obviously. The national headlines are going to be there all year. And then if he goes down and Arch comes in and does what he did in the spring game, which I'm not saying that he will, but he might.
Yeah.
He might.
If that happens.
Oh, it would be. It's Caleb Williams, Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. So that is a possibility. I think that Ewers, barring injury, holds off Manning all year long. He's the starter, start to finish, and he takes that third-year jump of paying his first 2 years of dues as a starter. I mean, pull up his stats.
Who, Quinn
at
Ewers?
Bama last year.
Oh, I mean,
Coach, he ripped Alabama apart. When's the last time that a Saban defense gave up those numbers at home?
I mean, Coach Ewers, 3,400 passing yards, 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions.
Yeah, that's solid. And that's why you expect him to make that jump to like 35 touchdowns, keep the interceptions where they are, and be able to lead a team to a college football playoff and national championship. If he makes that type of elite jump, which you've seen, like he has the coaching staff that is quarterback friendly. You haven't seen him get through the entire year yet, but if he's able to stay healthy with the weapons they bring in, Isaiah Bond, like Texas should be good, and it should be Quinn Ewers driving the ship. But make no mistake about it, and I think we've seen this play out before. He can't give Arch an inch.
No,
he can't let even mop up time. He's like, where's your helmet? Yeah. Like I think people will be able to probably will be able to set aside like a UAB fourth quarter 2 minutes Arch Manning drive. But if it's injury against insert school, like SEC, big time 7 o'clock kick, and he goes down and Arch comes in and leads a touchdown drive, people are not going to forget that. They're like, oh, anytime Quinn Ewers does something that isn't a touchdown, it's like, I saw what Arch can do.
Yeah. And he's going to have the, he's going to have the public. He's going to have the public backing, which, I mean, is crazy because Quinn Ewers is an Austin kid.
Yeah.
I mean, he's from the city of Austin, grew up there, and talking to people around the program, and we've got good relationships with people over at Texas. I mean, they say, look, he's not the kid that, I mean, he regrets not playing his high school senior season, which, right. I mean, that was an easy call. I mean, he left. This is when NIL first became legal. He challenged it from a high school standpoint, skipped out on his
senior year,
and went to Ohio State. Had huge numbers
He was one of the top-ranked quarterbacks in like rankings system history. Like Quinn Ewers was a huge deal, and he skipped his senior year and was eligible at Ohio State as a freshman to play. He redshirted, but that was somebody that really took advantage of not only NIL, but I guess that you could graduate early, and it all happened so quickly where he had an NIL deal. He was at Ohio State, like, well, should he be the starter? And it's like, no, he's 17.
C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, they had C.J. Stroud, but he was in that quarterback room, and that's how I guess you could try to spin it. It's like I got a graduate-level education whenever I should have been in regular classes. Like I skipped out on learning what I already knew in high school to go challenge myself and learn more about the position in college, and then tucks tail or comes back to Texas because they had an opportunity for him to play right away.
Texas kid, man.
Who was before Quinn? It was
Sam Ehlinger?
Yeah, Sam Ehlinger, who I was just watching that Texas LSU game, came on my Twitter like the 5-minute clips.
Yeah.
That man was wide open, that running back. That game could have been totally different.
Totally.
Like LSU could have easily lost that football
Totally
game.
different.
They dropped that ball, and then on 4th and goal, they run a sweep with
QB sweep.
Ehlinger, and he gets stopped.
Yeah. Divinity, huh?
Yeah. I was like, they could have 14-0.
Ewers last season versus Alabama in Tuscaloosa, 26 of 38, 349 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks.
Not a lot of people do that against Saban.
I mean, he's big time.
But then then you look at the Oklahoma game. He goes 31 of 37, 346 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions.
Right.
So you can't have games like that. Like if he has a game like that against Oklahoma, it is gonna be
message board season.
Arch. Like they'll probably like do the same thing they did to Spencer Rattler with the Caleb Williams thing, because it happened in the Red River rivalry where Spencer Rattler is having an up and down game. The fans from Oklahoma start cheering for Caleb Williams. They put him in the game, and he comes out first play in touchdown, and it's like, damn, all right, well I guess I just lost my job. And that could happen, but I just don't see it. I feel like Quinn Ewers has matured. He's like moved past all the other stuff that happened in his career, like early in his career. I think he's poised, might be a Heisman guy.
I agree.
Oh, I agree.
If it's not him, it's Milroe and Garrett Nussmeier is a dark horse, because we don't know exactly what we get from Garrett Nussmeier yet.
But yeah,
as a starter.
There's some games in here where you go through the game log where he hasn't put it all together yet. You know, he still has the ability to throw up a clunker. Like they beat Houston 31-24. He throws for 211 yards. Like that's just not the things that you would expect to see from a Heisman type guy, but obviously did enough to win a football game.
Texas Tech.
Yeah, Texas Tech, 196 yards. They won 57-7. I don't know how that happened, but
Texas Tech?
Yeah. Like they beat Texas Tech 57-7. I guess he was already out the game, but it's just you would expect, I guess, weird condition to
better numbers.
If you're gonna go on a Heisman type run, a playoff national champion type run, like go find me a Burrow game that you can look at and go, oh, he wasn't the catalyst and the reason they won.
Oklahoma. Jeez.
Six of them things.
Was Ewers at the Manning?
Yeah, I think
I know Arch was. I saw Garrett Nussmeier, obviously, throwing some passes to Kyron Lacey yesterday.
Yeah, Quinn. I don't know if Quinn was there.
Saw Jackson Dart there. I think Jackson Dart's another kind of a dark horse for a Heisman.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Quinn Ewers was there. He's at the Manning Passing Academy. It'd be odd if he wasn't. That would be a story.
Yeah.
Max Johnson was there.
Max Johnson.
What school is he
North
in?
Carolina.
Oh, he'll play. Pro.
Yeah. You better be.
Got a lot of stake in that game.
I need you, Maxie.
Sounds good.
But yeah, if Quinn would not have been at the Passing Academy, like that's what it does make you wonder about the relationship where, like Quinn, obviously Arch is going to go, it's his family,
Yeah.
and he wants the reps, but Quinn Ewers probably feels obligated to go too. And it's I don't know.
Did I see Arch didn't throw, right?
I think he's thrown a little bit,
yeah,
but I don't think he threw
like,
it like in front of like the camp, but he was like there.
Yeah, he probably didn't, put on
Spotlight.
the show.
They probably don't want him to.
No.
I agree.
It's one of the oddest, like for somebody that is so heralded with the last name and all of these things that go into it, one of the oddest, like, backseat, nothing,
and
not getting anything from him.
For me, like Arch, like he can sling it.
He can.
Like if I was him, I'd show off every time I could.
But that's what I guess he feels like he doesn't have to.
I guess maybe that's a part of his like personality. Like he's just a laid back kid. Because like after Jordy's wedding, me and Lloyd saw Arch in Company Burger, and he's like
chilling with the boys.
Like he came from a frat party the night before.
I
like,
think
we were all in the same mental headspace.
You got to
Right.
think, boys.
He had just woke up just like we had just woke up.
If you're
And went to
talking
sleep.
about the section of New Orleans that Arch grew up in,
Right.
This is like Captain Frat town.
Yeah.
I mean, this is Ole Miss. This is Georgetown.
Oh,
this is
Old money.
mean, like old,
The oldest
New
money.
Orleans money that
Pockets you
still
don't even know
lives
about.
in like a
Yeah.
high society type. Like
This is $2 bill money.
yes, I mean like
They don't know
it's
that
a
there's crime in
different
New Orleans.
World.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, right.
Oh, the city's great.
Yeah, right. What crime?
Yeah, where are y'all going?
They talk about these potholes everywhere.
Yeah, sit on the porch every morning. What are you talking
I don't
about?
see any potholes around
potholes?
here. I mean, it is a very yuppie part of New Orleans. So, I
can tell.
mean, I think his personality is honest. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, like you want to talk about like Peyton and Eli and Cooper, they grew up in those are New Orleans kids. Like Arch is a New Orleans like generational
Legacy.
kid.
Yeah.
I mean his grandparents, parents, cousin, they all live in New Orleans. I mean, Arch is
Yeah.
He's-
I live good around
I mean,
here.
he's Sigma Chi Ole Miss.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like he's as poster child of mid city New Orleans that you could probably find. I mean, I would
He's a
think,
legacy.
Garden District. Where,
Yeah,
you know, that
legacy
area.
offer.
Yes,
Yeah. Like,
for
oh, he's
sure.
in. Whatever
Yeah.
he wants to
He
do.
could-
Like,
he
he's
could
going
do-
to Newman.
He can do anything.
Yeah, they didn't have to get him into Newman. He's just already there.
I guess what weird part that would be like the Garden District. I mean, like if you've ever ridden around the Garden District, they have their own like security. Like that rides around, like that drives, or like
You're not
could you
supposed to-
imagine? You
you're
know
not
what I
supposed to be in
mean?
this neighborhood.
You know what I mean? If it's a different way of life. So, I mean, I think that he really doesn't want that. I think
like
that
the
the
spotlight.
attention stuff is real. You know, because I think you can't fake that if you don't want it. You'll have an Instagram, you'll have a
Right.
social media, you'll have something that gets you out to the world. He's legitimately closed off.
Yeah.
Like he always has been. He didn't talk in recruiting. He doesn't talk a lot in the scene of the public stage, and he's done it now for multiple years. That this is not fake. You know, I mean, this is who he is.
Yeah, because he like talked to the media at the Manning Passing Academy, and they were like asking him about Texas and stuff, and he was just saying it's easier during the summertime for him because it's not as many students on campus. Like it's not as many people that he has to mingle with, to where he could just go football back home or wherever he wants to go. And then during the season, it's, oh my God, that's Arch. Like, let me get an autograph. Let me get this. And it's like, damn, I can't even go to class. Like, I'm just trying to chill, go to class, and play football.
And look, it's one thing. It's one thing to have the hype without playing and have the fanfare. It's another thing to take the snap, throw touchdowns, and be the big man and have your name all over Sports Center and social media. And now you have to talk.
Yeah.
Now you're representing the program. Now you're the starting quarterback. Now you're Arch Manning, the quarterback of Texas.
Yeah, now you had SEC media days.
Now that's like you can't really
Be protected.
You can't
you
run
can't
from
be
it.
protected, and you can't be shy from the camera.
Yeah.
Like you have to develop that part of it where if in 5-10 years from now you want to run a pro franchise and want to be the face of it as their quarterback, I'm sure your uncles didn't love the media part.
Yeah.
They learned to embrace it, and look what it's done for their life.
And I mean, like, he's actually like really good with the media. Like I would
assume so. I would assume so.
To see him like speaking to the media as much or as least as he does, like when he does speak to the media,
He's still comfortable.
Yeah, he's comfortable, and it gives you really good quotes. It's not one-word answers, two-word answers. It's constructive, thoughtful. Like it's,
And
I enjoy that about Arch. Like I kind of like the mysteriousness of him not wanting to talk to the media, him not wanting to be in the spotlight. And then once he does get in the spotlight, he'll probably be ready for it because, I mean, I'm sure Peyton and Eli have been in his ear letting him know what the spotlight's like.
I think he'd be ready for it.
I mean, it's a kind of akin to Burrow when he got to LSU. You didn't like quiet, kind of just went about his business. Like, the only inflammatory thing he gave you was going into 2019 from the Manning Passing Academy. He was like, if it looks like the way I think it will, like, LSU's going to score 40 points a game. And everybody's like, what the fuck is he talking about? LSU don't score 40?
The Burrow got on the phone with their boss. The Burrow kid says LSU is going to score 40.
This kid did you know where he committed to?
And then there's that famous shot of him with the water.
In the bucket hat?
No, like in the season.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I told you.
Yeah.
he takes that swig.
Yeah. In the hoodie.
Yeah. The Fiesta Bowl hoodie. The one that he wore everywhere.
Trying to tell y'all.
He's like,